So the outboard diesel engine came in back a couple of weeks ago, okay? And I had to fight like crazy with the Philippine freight forwarders to bring it. Very aggravating. Kind of messed up our holidays. We were planning on leaving to go do some things while the guys were off work, but we were having to wait for this outboard motor to be shipped. And it made it into the country, and then the Filipino forwarders, man, they just weren't on it. So it was kind of crazy. They brought it all the way up from Lapu-Lapu all the way up to Bacolod and wrote and said they were coming across on ferry and they'd be here in a couple of hours. They'd have it here to me that particular day. And that day came and they never arrived. And as it got dark that night, I said, "Are you delivering the motor today or not?" And he wrote, "No, sir." And then a phone call I had with him afterwards, he says he was instructed by his boss to just come back to Lapu-Lapu and not deliver it. Now, if you know how far away Mactan, Lapu-Lapu is from Iloilo City or Bacolod, that is a long ways to be turning around and going all the way back with it. So they made some deliveries in Bacolod, which is just right across the water here, just an hour ferry across. And they made it to right there, dropped off some other things. And you know what it is? It's because it was holiday time in the Philippines, and all they wanted to get back to do was get back and party. And so I said, "So when are you going to be delivering my motor then?" I just couldn't believe they took it all the way back. And he said next year, which next year means in January. And this is mid-December. And it's already here in the country. And it even came within, say, by the time the ferry and then driving out here, it was within an hour and a half of my house. That is absurd. And then when I threw a big old fit and got with the people that I bought it from, and they got with their freight forwarder, and they got with the people they hired here in the Philippines, contracted with to deliver it. All of a sudden, they're getting it here lickety-split, and it's going to be here ASAP. Well, a guy shows up here with this old wore-out truck, smoking, no lift gate, and this massive crate. And I'm like, why would my little 25 horsepower outboard be in such a massive crate? We had to improvise a way to get it off the truck. He had no help, and he's a middle-aged man, and myself. So luckily we had some lumber out back here, and we made like a ramp, and we got together and slid it down. The crate had damage to it. The top of the crate was made out of a household cheap particle board household door, like a colonial style, that one end had been sawed off. The tube frame to the crate was just like shoddily spot welded together and was actually falling apart, even with some of their welding rods and everything still laying in there. It's pretty crazy. And the motor had damage on it right there, and it wasn't because of the damaged crate. You could tell where this damage was at, that it was already damaged inside before they had even finished crating it up. The lower end, the propeller was damaged. There was something not right down in the bottom. When you turned, it rubbed. Wah-womp. I videoed every bit of it. Never shared a video to you guys because I was so disgusted with the motor. I was very disgusted with it. They did send my remote, and the remote is a Yamaha remote. It don't have Yamaha's name, but it is the identical Yamaha remote I have out here on another boat. They did send my extra prop, but good thing, because the prop they sent with it's bent and damaged. So that kind of makes the prop that I paid for null and void, because it only replaces the one that they should have been on the motor in good shape. Then there was just other things about it, man. The latches on the cowling were just crap. The way they brought the exhaust out was horrible, and the salt's going to eat that right up. The throttle linkage inside the cable was already pulled apart and damaged right from the very beginning before it's even used. It's a water-cooled engine, and some of the cooling hoses are literally made out of household, cheap, low quality water hose, and then kind of half spray painted around on them, and you can just see what it is. You can see the stripe. You know how water hoses usually have the little stripes down them in color and all, and that's obviously what it is. It is a V-twin diesel. So I've never even messed with the motor. We set it up out here and put plastic over it. It's still attached to the crate that it came in, to the metal frame, and I wrapped it up with plastic. I've never even bothered to put fuel to it or a battery and start it because I can't use it. It is as big as a 200 horsepower motor, and it's a 25 horsepower motor. And it has a lot of other shoddy work. The lower end on it down there looks just like identical to the lower end of my Yamaha 25 horse two-stroke out here. It looks like the identical lower end, and they made their own crappy casted midsection on there, and then a big old plate that they just drilled holes. You just have to see this thing. Shoddy, shoddy, shoddy. So I filed a claim because I complained to the people about the motor, and they said send pictures. So send pictures. They delete the pictures. We never got them. Send pictures again. It shows they're there and they're just unread. Then all of a sudden they're gone. So we see the games. So I got with my credit card company, and they didn't even bat an eye or argue about it. And they filed a claim on it. They froze the money, and they're gonna have me fill out a little dispute form and all, and either they can come here and pick this motor up and it can go back to wherever it came from, or they can just leave it here, but I'm getting my money back either which way. So that's the story on the lousy diesel outboard. And if they just leave it here over some time, well then maybe we'll tinker with it and show a video and stuff of it and use whatever we can use out of it until it implodes on itself. But they're not getting my money. This massive diesel outboard, which is not even designed like I had was shared a video and pictures of and all. I refused to even crank it. I filed a complaint. It's not what I wanted. It's not even what they showed. It's not the dimensions they showed. It's not the weight they told. It's not the shape like this. I'll show some of it. Hold on. So Mock's gonna pull this cover off real quick. They just showed up, him and all the crew. So this is that outboard diesel, and look at this. Just put your hand right up there so they can see how big that thing is. Look how massive the center part of that body is on that thing. So this is something they casted themselves, really thick. The lower end is identical to my Yamaha out there. I think that's a Yamaha lower unit. And then they casted their own center piece here, and it's massive and heavy. And that cowling is big enough to hold a 200 horsepower motor underneath it. It is just absolutely huge. It is just huge. It came in such a huge crate. I knew something was wrong. That motor is way too big. That was a huge concern of mine when I was buying it from them. The images they showed me, the midsection all was about the same size as this little Yamaha 25 horse I have out the beach. And the bottom it looks identical to a T. That's a Yamaha lower unit right there. So they've taken parts from different manufacturers and they have Frankensteined an engine up. And I am totally unhappy with it. I can't use that on the back of the boat. I explained what I was using it for, and it was very critical that the weight and the dimensions be right. And I got this thing, and it's just massive. Just unbelievable. And the water return here, this looks like a household water hose. And it doesn't blend back in with the exhaust. And the exhaust, I'm not sure where it comes out at, because there is just a pipe inside that wires together and it dumps down, and it's an ordinary steel pipe. and it just goes inside this housing, and I don't think it actually has a true place to come out unless it's right here, and that means the exhaust is dumping all inside of here. I just don't know. It's really crappy made. Like, all of this is for a smaller, lighter motor like that Yamaha outside, and it's having to carry a lot of weight on a small clamp set. I mean, a lot of weight. No way, Jose, I'm going to put that on the back of the boat over here. And these latches are really cheesy. Put on there crooked. Look at that. Put on there crooked. Yeah, it came in the crate with a damaged prop, and it's not only damaged like that, it's warped, and it actually right here goes in and out. Like there's a big gap, and then it rubs, and then a big gap, and it rubs. This housing, the way they cast it's really poor, and in places they missed where it's supposed to have been bolted. Some bolts are short, some are long, sticking out. Some were mismilled, like right there. Like this one here, look where the bolt completely even missed the housing. There's a bolt hole right here, but the bolt's over here. Yeah. I'm getting all my money back. I make sure I pay for it with my card that always gives me good credit, good purchase protection. And I've already shared it all with them. They've already froze the money back. They're going to deal with the vendor, or whether they want to pick this motor up, or they're going to leave it with me, or what. But they're not getting my money. And that's that. And I'll say this. This is what makes America, Germany, Japan, maybe South Korea, Italy, France, England. It's what makes all of those countries' products so loved and sought after. It's because they build things with integrity. They build things with pride and with honesty and integrity. And this is what China lacks. All they want to do is rip you off. All they want to do is get over on you, sell you inferior, cheap product, and put the freaking screws to you. And that's why people were always so proud to buy something made in the USA. They knew in the past, if you bought USA, you were getting quality, that those companies had integrity, they met specs, they tested stuff, they cleaned castings good, they took pride in their work. That was the symbol of America. The same story with anything built out of Germany. You got something out of Germany, you knew that you were getting quality, man. You knew it. Now, same thing. Italians building great stuff. The French building great stuff, man. Go on. In England, a lot of really great stuff built out of there. So then, in all honesty, Japan for the last many years is building nothing but wonderful stuff. My goodness, the way they tooled themselves up to be a small nation and fight that world war like they did with so much stuff, that was astonishing how much equipment they turned out. But Japan at one point in time was also building some junk. And Taiwan also at one point in time was building some junk. And occasionally junk still does come out of Taiwan, because they still haven't hit that 100% integrity mark. But Japan, they hit that integrity mark. They took pride in their work, and they said, this is what's going to make people trust us, is to build stuff right. And if they don't, they've got to answer to their government over there, and their government will come down hard on them. The USA and all of these countries now, even Japan, have been selling out over the past 2 decades to that cheap labor Chinese machine, and it's come back to bite everybody in the ass. And shame on me for even entertaining to buy this. Shame on me for even entertaining to buy this right here, because I should have known better. I should have known better. It's just, will it work? It probably will work, but not in the capacity that I need it to. It is super big and heavy. If I could just put, I don't want to unbolt it off my boat down there and bring it up here, but if I could just put what a 25 horse looks like up next to this, you'll realize this thing is big. It's bigger than the 115 horse Yamaha that I sold. It's bigger than that. This thing is at least the size of a 175 or a 200 horsepower in the casing, but not in the size of that foot down there. That means, which it is only 25 horse, that means the shaft and the gears down there are probably about right to carry this, except the diesel has more torque, so it still could be questionable. But I wanted a diesel outboard, and I was trying to be budget minded, but I talked with these people, I conversed back and forth, I expressed how important the weight and dimensions of that motor was. I really asked questions on the quality of some of the things. I asked that they showed some of their early motors having this latch, but they had improved all of that. And they didn't show having no big old cast center piece right in there like that on there either. It was small and it was simple, just like the Yamaha out there. It looked like Yamahas. So they drug it out, they drug it out, they drug it out. In fact, most of the components that came with it's Yamaha stuff, man. It just is. And there's that integrity again, you know. So shame on me. Shame on me. I'm gonna admit my downfall. Shame on me. I got bit by that snake. I got bit by the red dragon. Okay, the red dragon got me. But the good old USA were given things like credit protection, or not credit protection, but buyer protection is saving my butt. And there's like, you're not going to screw our customer over. You're not going to do that. You're going to be honest. And the my card said, nope, they already took the money back yesterday. They've already credited it back to my account, pending while I fill out some forms they're sending to me. And they said they're not getting my money. I'm too good of a customer, and I'm very honest. And so if they want to send a truck here at their dime and pick this thing up, crate it up, send it all the way back to China or whatever, be my guest. If you leave it here, I'll eventually tinker with it or something. But if they want to take it, they can take it, because honestly it means nothing to me. All right, well, so the plastic was already kind of loose and well worn and torn on it. So here it is. It's like it's got a metal frame that they had welded up with some tubing, and they've got some plywood right here, and then something here on top for a lid. And they used the roofing screws, and those are exact same roofing screws that are sold all over the place here in the Philippines. It's a door. So here's the first look inside. Anybody want to translate? For my Yamaha. Looks like the same one I have out there on my Bonka boat. Use these, they got a little hook on the bottom so they don't scratch the paint. Well, they're very proud to put the huge number 25 on there. Huge number 25. So it's kind of interesting looking at the housing here to the boat. It's a big die-cast piece. the hose coming out right here, they just kind of painted it, but I guess that's where you got a return for water coming back out. So one of the things I noticed while it's still in the crate here is when you turn the prop, and if y'all want to see the size of the prop, 11 1/8 by 13G, but pay attention right down in here. See if we can get a little bit better light situation going there. Let's watch right in there, and it's rubbing right there. It's rubbing. Still, I have not seen any kind of book on this unless there's something under the cowling. Let's look here at the motor. I have to look at it here at an angle. So this is a twin cylinder diesel with electric start. We can see starter motor there. Pretty simple. Flywheel right here, a nice heavy flywheel. I cannot tell immediately. It may have a magneto. I do see some wiring coming out from underneath right here, so I believe it probably does have a magneto. Hose clamps here. This is a little odd here. It's some type of adapted down from a large hose to a smaller hose, which looks almost like a water hose. It's good and rubbery. Usually seal stripes always reminds you of a water hose though, and kind of crappily painted all over, you know. And this just really is not a very clean casting. You just look at that. It is not a very clean casting at all. And here's where some threading really got rough looking right there. Not pleased at that part there at all. I'm trying to see where it mounts down in there, how good all that looks. Hope that's aligned well. This lower part, I can see the bolts down around on that. The exhaust coming from cylinder 1 going to cylinder 2 is wrapped with some heat tape. Don't know how well or how long that's going to last, or if it's very marinized against being around salt water. So that's going to be a question. And then the pipe goes down and bolts in here for the exhaust to blow out down here. So somewhere down in this housing, I don't know that it really mixes back with the water, or if the exhaust is just blowing out right here. Maybe so. That might be where the exhaust is coming out. So I wonder how dirty and nasty that's going to get down there. A little 2-cylinder diesel engine. So this must be where you check the oil, I would assume. And as I said, I've found no kind of books or maintenance or anything that they have not sent, so I will be contacting them immediately on that. Continue to check here. You've got your return line here on your injectors. So does that have a return line back to the tank down here? Yes, it does. It looks like it does. So we should have 2 lines terminating out. Yep, there's one end of one rubber hose, there's the end of another, so it does have a return back on the fuel. The need for such a large housing right there, that's a little confusing to me. Probably just adds a lot of extra weight, unless they're trying to give space for that exhaust or something. I don't know, but that's the ugly bulky part, man. It looks like you could strap a V8 on top of that. I mean, it does. It looks like you could strap a V8 engine up on that part right there. Yeah, I'd still stick with my overall first impression. If I was to grade something between a grade A and a grade D, I would maybe give it a C+, a C or C+. Yeah. I'm looking for the, okay, so I see something else here I'm not happy with.